1 week into the war between the United States, Israel, and Iran, the Middle East is facing one of its most dangerous escalations in decades.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, stay sheltered, don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
What began as a series of coordinated strikes has now spiraled into a regional conflict involving multiple countries, proxy groups, and vital global economic routes. The conflict began on February 28th, when the United States and Israel launched a massive joint military operation against Iran. The strikes targeted key cities including Tehran, Qom, and Isfahan. Washington described the operation as a preemptive action to eliminate security threats posed by Iran's missile program and military infrastructure. The first day of the war saw a dramatic escalation. The strikes killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and targeted several military facilities across the country.
حضرت آیت الله العظما سید علی حسینی خامنه‌ای شهد گوارای شهادت را نوشیدند و به ملکوت اعلی پیوستند.
Iran responded within hours, launching missile attacks on Israeli cities including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Tehran also targeted US military bases across the Gulf region, including bases in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. The second day saw the United States intensify its campaign. American forces destroyed the headquarters of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, one of the most powerful pillars of Iran's security establishment. Meanwhile, Iran continued its retaliation. A missile strike on the Israeli town of Beit Shemesh killed several civilians, while Tehran reported that a hospital had been hit during US and Israeli strikes. By the third day, the war had already begun spreading beyond Iran and Israel. Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militant group in Lebanon, entered the conflict by launching missiles toward Israel. In response, Israel launched strikes on Beirut. At the same time, Iran's Revolutionary Guard declared that the Strait of Hormuz had been closed, threatening a critical global oil choke point through which roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply normally passes. On the fourth day, the human toll of the war became clearer. Iranian authorities reported that more than 780 people had been killed since the start of the strikes. Iran also expanded its retaliation across the region. Explosions were reported in cities across the Gulf, including Dubai, Doha, and Abu Dhabi, as air defense systems intercepted incoming missiles and drones. The fifth day brought the conflict closer to South Asia. A US submarine torpedoed an Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Sri Lanka, killing dozens of sailors. The attack marked a major escalation at sea and demonstrated how far the conflict had spread geographically. At the same time, Israel expanded its operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon, sending ground forces into the southern Lebanese town of Qiyam. Despite days of bombardment, Israeli officials acknowledged that Iran still retains significant missile launch capabilities. On the sixth day, the conflict continued to widen. Iran launched fresh missile strikes on Israel, while Israel expanded the zone of its military operations inside southern Lebanon. Tehran warned that any ground invasion of Iran would bring what it called disaster to its adversaries. Meanwhile, tensions rose near Sri Lanka after a second Iranian warship approached the region, just days after the first vessel was sunk by the United States. Now, on the 7th day of the war, the fighting shows no signs of slowing down. Israeli airstrikes have continued in both Tehran and Beirut, while the United States has reportedly targeted Iranian naval assets at sea. Iran has also continued launching retaliatory attacks against countries hosting US military bases in the Gulf. The United Nations Refugee Agency has now declared the unfolding situation a major humanitarian emergency, warning that the conflict could displace large numbers of people across the region. At the center of the crisis is the political strategy of US President Donald Trump. The administration says its goals are to destroy Iran's missile capabilities, weaken its military forces, and prevent it from ever developing nuclear weapons. But analysts say the conflict raises serious questions about the long-term strategy. Iran remains capable of launching missiles. Regional proxy groups like Hezbollah have entered the war, and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz threatens global oil supplies. Trump has also hardened his rhetoric, saying there will be no deal with Iran unless Tehran accepts unconditional surrender. At the same time, he has suggested that he wants a role in choosing Iran's next leader, following the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei. For now, the biggest question is how long the war will last and how far it will spread. With fighting now stretching from Israel and Lebanon to the Persian Gulf and even the Indian Ocean, the first week of the conflict has already transformed a targeted military operation into a widening regional war with global consequences.
And as the second week begins, the risks of further escalation remain extremely high.